Good afternoon. Today I'm going to go and do an excerpt from chapter 3. Um, as you may or may not know, I'm promoting my memoir by yours truly, Jimmy Rivera. It's called My Story, My Destiny. In the last couple of days, I did an excerpt of chapter 1 and chapter 2. And today it's going to be chapter 3, which I'm talking about how I met my wife, Maria. Now, chapter 3 happens to be a very short chapter. And the reason I made it that way is because my wife Maria shows up a lot during the whole book. So, but I dedicated this chapter to her, and I hope that you enjoy my reading. It's a way to promote my book. I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel. I will appreciate it if you like and subscribe. I promote other things on my channel, but right now I'm concentrating on my book. This is the soft cover book, okay? As I always show in all my videos, I also got the hardcover book, okay? The soft cover is cheaper than the hardcover. It depends on your choice, on your preference. If you prefer the hardcover and you want to purchase that book, let me know and I'll lower the price for you. But you have to message me first. It's also on Kindle, so those that have a Kindle and like to read it, they can download it digitally immediately. This book ships right away in days. The hardcover, for some reason, takes a few weeks. So that's what I'm doing every day. I'm gonna try to do it every day. Like I said, today I'm gonna see if I talked about the story of my wife. And I'm just going to read a portion of it. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, of course. I'm just going to read a portion. And then tomorrow, God willing, I'm going to read the next chapter, which is titled Destiny. And it starts off with talking about my first daughter, Teresa, and her mother. And when I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, and I became an Army recruiter. And I explain how destiny, by the words and actions that I had taken in the past, dictated where my life was headed to and how I wind up in my present situation today. So let me go ahead, without further ado, I don't want to take too long, and start on reading this excerpt on the book of Maria. And by the way, I refer to her in the book as China because that's what her family calls her. I'm the only one that calls her Maria. Everybody else calls her China. Now, this is where my story begins. But before I tell you how I met China, I have to tell you a little of the backstory of that meeting. At the time, I was an Army recruiter who worked out of an office in Jamaica, New York. My office was located on the top of McDonald's. Guess who worked in McDonald's? You guessed right. It was China. You have to excuse, I got allergies. I'm suffering from allergies really bad this week, so I'll be clearing my throat a lot. But here I go again. Before I speak of that meeting, I have to talk about another backstory that will lead to that meeting. I worked with a guy named Victor. He was skinny, had dark skin, with a thick mustache, wore glasses, and slightly curly hair that will partly cover his forehead. Now, Staff Sergeant Victor Padilla was a good friend, Puerto Rican, Vietnam vet like myself, but had a troubled past. Before he was drafted into the Army, he was addicted to heroin. I guess he broke the habit just in time to be drafted and sent to Vietnam. He would invite me to the back room of the recruiting office to smoke a joint. Victor was a typical pothead, but he was a good friend and a good recruiter, in spite of the fact that he was always in trouble with the captain and the colonel of the New York Recruiting Command. One day he approached me and said, "Jimmy, you want to go on a double date with me?" I answered, "With who?" "You know that girl Diana that you're processing the paperwork on?" I answered, "Yes." So I asked her to go to the movies. Her friend works downstairs in McDonald's. So I replied like a typical man and replied, sure, let's do this. Now, before you say, wow, that sounds romantic, you have to understand that Victor and I were married. It was not right. We were cheating on our wives. I had my reasons why I decided to do it. I could explain why, but that is a book in itself. Now, for Victor, I don't know. Maybe he did it all the time, which does not make it right. I found out later that it was decided among the girls that I would go out with China and Diana will go out with Victor. Years later, my wife told me that when the question was presented to her by her friend Diana, with who you wanted to go out with, she chose me. I will paraphrase what China said. I want to go out with the tall one. I like to believe that she actually said, I want to go out with the tall and dark, handsome soldier. But that is my version, not hers. I like my version better. But being under the assumption that she saw something in Victor she did not like, that's why I decided to give the backstory about Victor. That night we met in front of McDonald's. I had seen China before working inside McDonald's when recruiters and myself bought burgers there. She worked the cashier's box. But that night was like I had seen her for the first time. She had long black hair, exotic looking eyes, and to me, she looked sexy. I still remember what she was wearing. She had on a pink jumpsuit, which made her even more appealing. So after our informal introductions, we headed to the movies. Now, if you ask me what movie we saw, I could not tell you. Maria said it was a scary movie. All I know was that I was sitting next to the most beautiful girl I have ever been with. After that day, we saw each other every night after work. We fell in love. She was no longer China to me, but Maria. Every time I hear the song lyrics, Maria, Maria, she reminds me of West Side Story. I think of her. We got married and had 2 beautiful daughters. We have been going strong for the last 42 years. I put in the book 42 years, is actually 43, but you got to bear in mind that I wrote this book last year. I pray we go another 42 years. Thank you, Lord. I found my soulmate, and the story continues as of this day. Like I said, it's a short chapter, and this is I only wrote a part of this chapter. There's more to it. But each day, my goal is to read one chapter of the book. And that way, I go through the whole book, and then I will return to the beginning again and to talk about the other chapters again. But only picking parts of the book and chapters that I haven't read. In total, besides the introduction, and I should have numbered this, but I didn't. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's only a 12 chapter book, but it's a 470 page book. Why 20% of it is pictures? I'm a new author and I put too many pictures in it. And it was almost becoming a photo album and I had to stop myself. But the pictures in itself tells a story. So that's why I decided to keep it in there. I will talk in the future about my experiences in the Army, my experiences in Vietnam, my experience in Hurricane Maria, my experience in honoring the Borinqueniers of 65th Infantry of Puerto Rico, my heart attack and my wife's breast cancer operation. So I hope that you join me every single day in reading these excerpts. And if you're interested, like I said, just go on Amazon. All you do is a search for My Story, My Destiny, and by Jimmy Rivera. And I hope that you enjoy the book that I have written. With that, God bless, and take care of yourself, folks. All right.